Welcome to SethCraft. In this video, I'm going to be continuing the build of this 10 by 12 outbuilding. I'm going to be installing the Miratec trim and also the fiberboard or Hardie siding for the actual siding. So if you're interested in that, continue watching. So the first step is to add a little bit more of the OSB down here, about a 2.5 inch strip to go along the bottom. And that way it'll allow the Miratec board to stick out from here. So let's go ahead and cut down a piece to fit from right here on this edge all the way down here to the end. Now for making sure we know what we're doing, we were testing out on this side. So you can see we already have Miratec on the corner and then also down here at the bottom and working on the other corner. So let's go ahead and get this side done right here. This is simply just a filler piece to allow that trim to go further down than it previously would. We're using a scrap piece to represent the other side of the trim. And I'm going to measure and mark over here. And so we need 146 3/4. Now, because I don't have a nail gun, I'm going to pre-drill some holes for some finishing nails. And because we've already got this side piece measured where we want it, I'm going to match up to make sure it's flush with the side and the bottom. And then just drive this top nail in here. I'm going to badly bend this top nail. So I made a mistake. The tall piece is supposed to go all the way down to the bottom. Otherwise, you're going to have some water pulling up in here. So I'm going to cut right here, and we're going to cut our tall piece again to correct this mistake. There we go. All right, take two on our measurement here. 122 inch. When I first hung this piece right here, I had it go all the way to the end, and I forgot that the corners go down to the bottom, so I had to use my circular saw to cut that out on both that portion and right here. All of the trim is now complete. So this was our original test side here, and it has turned out quite nice. And we've got all of the corners done. We've got a little bit of a gap right here that we need to fill with some putty and paint, but everything else on the building has been completed. Now up here on the front, we don't have our door yet, and so we don't have the trim for that, but all the corners are done. And then we do have this one piece right here, and then we've got back here as well. So now that we have the trim done, it's time to begin working with the fiberboard or Hardie siding, whichever you prefer to call it. Now, before the siding can be placed on, a drip edge needs to be put here on this bottom board, and that looks like this right here. It's a metal bent edge, and so this piece right here will go along the side of the building, so any water that gets down here will then roll off. So we'll go ahead and get this installed. Now, this side over here is going to be 12 foot, so we'll have to have a couple extra feet. And so I'm just going to cut another piece that has about a 6-inch overlap on this. So it's going to be put right here. I'm going to use some roofing nails to get this attached here to the building. Just going to put a roofing nail about every 16 inches to make sure this drip edge stays in place. The remaining piece down here, so 16 3/4 is where this stops, but I want at least 6 inches of overlap, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut my next piece at 2 foot. All right, measure this piece out to 2 foot. Make a mark here. And I just got these 10 snips that I'm gonna use to cut down here. To To make sure no water ever finds its way up under this drip edge, I'm going to use a piece of Tyvek tape that will go from the Tyvek onto that drip edge. Now that the trim and drip edge is complete, it's time to put on the Hardie concrete siding. So as you can see, we've done a test run on this side over here, and we're going to be starting over here for the video. So first sheet is going to, of course, be down here on the bottom. We're going to have to cut around this window, and it's going to go all the way up to the top up here. So let's go ahead and begin cutting this first piece. And the first measurement here from bottom to top is going to be 116 3/4. So the material we have is 10 foot, and so we'll be able to cut down from this to make one solid piece. I always put my tools right here where we're trying to walk. All right, we need 116 3/4. In order to cut this cement board, I'm using a jigsaw with a carbide tip blade, and it's going to just cut down this line to give us the 116 3/4. Now that we've cut the top off of this piece, we need to find out the height of the window, which we're going to do 44.5 inches. And then from this side right here, we're going to do 15 inch. And on the other side of the window is actually where the piece ends at 4 foot. And so we won't have to worry about over there on this piece. We are going to have to be careful because this little 15-inch section is going to support up there as well. So, and the window height is 36 inch. From the bottom, we're going up 44.5 inches. And then moving up 36 inch. We've got 15 right here. I've placed a couple of 2x4s under here to give me enough height to cut this with my saw. And I'm just going to zip out this window. Now I do have a straight board on the back supporting that back side, so hopefully there's not any bowing or breaking in here. Pre-drilling the edges to make installation a lot easier. Otherwise, driving the nails with this weight would be quite annoying. So this is either going to be the blooper reel or highly successful. We're using these galvanized spiral nails to install into the concrete siding. The process is going to be the same for the rest of the sheets. As you can see, we've already got this side done over here. We're going to be using batten strips, which are this size right here, and they're going to be about every 14 inches. So that will be the next step that you see after we finish getting all of this concrete board up. Now that we have the fiber board installed as the siding, it's time to get the batten strips up and also the trim around the windows. So for the windows, I'm going to put a piece down here that's going to go from the bottom of this edge to over here, and then we will add the side pieces and they will extend past to match the bottom piece. And then lastly, we're going to cut the top that will go an inch or so past the side pieces. The bottom cut needs to be exactly 32 inches. I've pre-drilled into this board to allow me to put my finishing nails in here first. Now I need to cut a trim piece that goes from the top of the window to the bottom of this lower trim. That is exactly 40.5 inches. I just got word from the homeowner that we're going to not have an inch overhang on each side, but we're just going to measure out what we've got here. Now with all of the window trim done, we're going to be putting the batten strips up to cover all of the seams, and then also adding them on the studs as they go along here. And just for reference, you can see where this side has been started over here. So right under the window is a stud, and that also covers up the seam between the two pieces of fiberboard. And so I'm going to begin right here, just cutting a straight piece from this spot here down to the drip edge. Now on this side, we don't have to cut any 45s at the top, but if you move over here, you can see we are cutting 45s to help the water drain off of the top of that Miratec. All right, the first batten strip needs to go from down here at the drip edge to underneath the window, and we've got exactly 40 inches. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and place this batten strip right here, and I'm going to pre-drill the first 2 holes to help me get this lined up. Now that I have this pre-drilled, I'm going to use a level to make sure that this is straight up and down. Now I've got this batten strip on down below the window, but before the one can go on up here, we need to add the additional piece of trim that goes from this corner all the way over to the other side here, because this batten strip here is going to end underneath that. 1/37/8. Now with the top trim installed, I'm going to find out what this next batten strip needs to be here. We've got 27 inch. I have the seam covered with a batten strip. I'm going to move over to the 16 inch on center mark and find another stud that's above the window. And the one over here is just going to be nailed through the siding and the OSB. It won't have a stud behind it, but it will look consistent. 112 and 3/8. You've made it this far in the video. I'm very grateful. Thank you for that. We have just finished up the siding and trim as much as we can do without getting the door on the front. So let me show you around here at what has been accomplished. So we got the lower piece of trim on. We got that drip edge on top of that. Then we got the corners on. We were able to cut the Hardie board or concrete siding or fiberboard, whichever you prefer to call it. And after that, we got the window trim on, and then we got these batten strips up as well. Now we had to have a little bit of mismatched spacing because those are sinking into a stud in the back, so they aren't all completely consistent. But to be honest, if you step back and look at it, it's hard to tell that there's any variation there. All right, so tall wall is done. We did decide to taper the board up here at the top so that it would match with the corner trim. Now there are a few things we have to do, and that's get the cedar shingles here on the side, on the gable end. And then we're also gonna put a little piece of trim up here on the soffit to hide that little gap right there. But other than that, everything out here is complete. Now if I go over to the door side, you'll see that it doesn't have any work done yet because our door had some ordering issues that's going to be fixed. So we should have that here in the next couple of days, and we will wrap up this side. Now for the back wall here, we also have those batten strips, and once again tapered the top piece of trim to match up with the corner. Thank you so much for watching this video on building this 10 by 12 outbuilding. If you've enjoyed the series so far, consider subscribing, thumbs up button, and leave me a comment down below. There are several more videos to go in this little series. I'm Seth with the SethCraft channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.